Okay, we are about to start recording. Are we good? All right, we're in motion. So, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Open Tech Convo. And today's topic we have demystifying big data and business intelligence. So, lots of folks have businesses and don't have a clue what big data is, even though they deal with so much information. It becomes a loss for them because they won't know how to leverage the insights they can gain from data that they're probably just wasting or throwing around. Imagine, for example, if you're in an office and all your data is on paper instead of digital. So that could be something that we'll touch on. So hopefully we have some very seasoned experts in the field. We have Lamin Jobarteh and Lamin Jabbi. So the two L's, dominating, Lamin squared. So hopefully they'll share lots of insights. We will, as usual, the format is we have questions and answers right after you introduce yourselves. So it's pretty open, and it should be quite entertaining. I have lots of questions on my mind, and we have lots of participants that will definitely, want to benefit from your knowledge. So thank you for joining us today, taking your precious hours from your Saturday. I know you'd rather be somewhere else, but thank you for sacrificing that and joining us. And again, I'll just introduce myself. I am sitting Omar Lowe, and I'm an enterprise coach with the ITC. But anyone that wants to know more about me, feel free to ask as well. So I will let the panelists introduce themselves, and we will let the conversation begin. Thanks again. And by the way, since you're both Lamin, I normally do this in alphabetical order. It's very tough. So we're just going to go, since he's J.A., Jabbi, so we'll let the Jabbi introduce first, and then we'll go with the, Jobarteh. All righty. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Serin Omar. Thank you, Mr. Jobarteh, my Toma. Thank you for having me and all the ones on the panel right now, as well as the viewers out there. I appreciate coming in, and I'm honored, and I'm here to provide my 2 cents, and hopefully that can add to the masses out there, and the education and the feedback, the thing that is needed in this area can be accomplished. My name is Lamin Jabbi. I'll go back from my born in Gambia, Brikama. That's where I came from. I came to the US about when I was just 20 years of age, just right out of high school, graduated St. Augustine's. 92, 93, I came to the US. I've been here ever since. I'm happily married, have three wonderful children, two girls and 1 boy, and my wonderful wife, who is the bedrock of my family. So with that, I share, my background is not unique. I share a lot of similarities with people that immigrated or migrated from other areas and came to the US. The struggles that we all go through, the tribulations, and getting to the point where we are right now, it's a blessing in disguise. I cannot trade the experience that I've gone through for anything. I'm very thankful. I'm thankful to God for this opportunity. Just to make it short, I started my IT journey about 20 years ago, 24 years ago. Started as a data analyst with financial institutions, Citibank or Citigroup, which is kind of a global banking industry that was in Texas. Worked for them for about 5 years, then transitioned to another global banking industry or financial industry called HSBC, headquartered in UK, now in Shanghai, in China, kind of area. And then from that point, then most of my background is under the financial industry until that kind of a transition into other areas, industry as well. Work with Credit One Bank, from to Capital One Bank to hospitality industries here in Vegas. So now I'm now in the real estate industry, which brings me to the company that I work in, American Homes for Rent, specialization in the single family homes. My background again, I'm the VP of Business Intelligence and Data Strategy for American Homes for Rent. And with that, as we go along, then I'll be able to share some information about my background and other things in this space.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate that. Very detailed and definitely a beautiful experience that we'll be able to tap into. Thanks for sharing and welcome on board.
Thank you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Right, okay, awesome. Hello, everyone. My name is Lamin Jobarteh. I live in Atlanta, actually. I live here, guys, since 91. I came here when I was 19 years old and have lived here since then. Obviously, just like Lamin said, I'm in the same background, from Gambia. Came here, I'm trying to make best out of what we have here. Went to school here, graduated, my bachelor's and master's, and I've been working for a company. Started my career actually with Malik, CEO online right now. I worked for Malik whilst I was in college, and then back and forth after college, got my MBA, got my bachelor's. Started working a few companies here and there. My career actually started with Deloitte. I joined Deloitte 2007, I think, could remember, and 2007 as a consultant. Pretty much my IT background, that's where actually it hit. Consultant on different projects. Obviously, different projects, different clients, different avenues. I mean, I got all my experience from Deloitte. Seriously, I mean, all my BI experience. I mean, pretty much deal with different clients, deal with different tasks. That's what actually got me seasoned to where I'm at today. I was working with Deloitte almost, I think, up to 2013. And then I left because I was traveling at some point and I got tired of traveling. And then I decided, you know what? Yeah, this travel thing gets boring, I mean, you're at airports, hotels. It came to a point I'm like, no, I need to just take a step back. And obviously I wanted to get married as well, my second marriage. So I decided that I should pretty much just find something local, within the Atlanta area. Obviously, Pulte. I mean, I work for Pulte right now. BI, business intelligence analyst, and I've been doing this actually BI stuff for quite a while. So like I mean, I have a lot of experience. I mean, in BI. I mean, I deal with data every day. Like, I mean, I like screen for me, like a SQL Server database, writing queries day in, day out. That's what I do all day, every day. Seriously. Actually, I mean, my background, like I said, I mean, I'm working for Malik part-time while I was in college, helping here and there stuff. That wasn't much about data, but when I left college, that's when I got into data. So that's what I know, database, BI, how to make dashboards. I mean, how to extract data, how to play with big data. That's what I know how to do, seriously. And obviously, as Saint said right here, I mean, when you have people that have data on paper, like you cannot just understand, like, wow, how do you deal with this? It's so manual, so labor intensive. When you can just automate everything. But again, obviously, you have to crawl before you walk. I mean, you start from somewhere, and hopefully, our expertise can help a lot of folks on this channel, on this panel, and hopefully, I'm back home as well. I'm married, actually, myself. I mean, I have 2 kids. Great family as well. Living in Atlanta with my folks, and that's about it. Yes.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for sharing. Yes, indeed. So we certainly will be poking your brains for some good insights. So I will, open the floor to the Q&A. We'll receive questions from the participants, as well as from me, or you may have questions for anyone as well, in case they ask you something or they show that they're involved in something that you're interested in. Feel free to ask as well. However, the first question I think we should address before allowing anyone to ask is the title itself. Okay, so everyone is wondering, what is big data, right? What is business intelligence? So how is a business supposed to deal with this topic if they are not familiar, right? What does it mean to a business, this terminology? Okay, so in a nutshell, from your experience, what would you answer? One, for a small business, what this means or would mean for them, and for a big business, what it would mean for them as well. So maybe from your experience, you can share what implications or what benefits or what it means in general, this idea of big data. So you can take turns, whoever wants to chime in, and we can guide the conversation from there.
Lamin, you can go ahead.
Mr. Jobarteh, you don't want to start?
You good, you good.
All right. No worries. I would, first of all, I would ask, what is not big data and what is not business intelligence? Before you can be able to answer those questions, when business needs to understand, or let me take it back and say in this way. We IT people need to understand that we are enablers for the business. We need to understand what the business requirements are. We need to understand what data points that is fit for purpose that business is looking at to run operationally or financially to make informed decisions. From that point, we IT will sit back and understand from that angle first, what are the use cases? Then from that point, we can determine what is the best scenario for, is this a candidate for a big data, or is this a candidate for something that you just need within locally on-prem to just put something up quickly for you, that you can business can be able to find decisions or insights of. But everything starts from understanding from the business point of view, what are they trying to do? Then from that angle now, I'll not go deep into big data yet until further down the line, looking at certain use cases that will warrant us to get there. Then we'll go from there. From the business intelligence in a layman term is that when you ask the business, oh, I just need to build, I need this report, build, okay? This report is going to do X, Y, and Z, okay? You have some KPIs, some metrics that you need to capture. I need a dashboard, as Lamin already mentioned earlier on, that I build a dashboard, I provide that dashboard to the business, they go to their meetings, they look at it, what their metrics are, then that way for operationally or non-operationally, so they can be able to inform their stakeholders of how the business is going from the dashboard angle. Then from the big data side, so that dashboard that you create is going to be coming from a data that is stored somewhere, whether it's going to be on-prem, a small SQL server, or even an Access database per se, or it's going to come from a cloud environment, in a big data environment, where now you have more data in that environment and you can do more things around that. So everything depends on the use case, and everything depends from the business, not from the IT. From the business, how they set up that, then you drive which direction you need to go. With that, I'll just stop over there and then I'll pass it on to Lamin, Jobarteh from the band.
Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing. Definitely.
No worries.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah, I'll call it up now, and I'm not even calling it anymore. Well, yeah, just like Lamin said, yes, what is not big data? What is not BI? Obviously, I mean, data that is not organized in the repository that you can pull anytime you want is not big data. It's not BI. You have Excel data, Excel. You know, whenever you need something, you just pull it out. It's just some form of reporting, but not, I mean, not strategically BI. I mean, oh gosh, my network is having, hold on. My network is having, 1 sec. Oh gosh.
Maybe you can just restart your camera. That would probably solve it. You're frozen. You can watch this on YouTube after the program and see how long you were frozen.
All right. Can you guys, sorry about that. Can you guys hear me?
It's quite all right. Yes, we can certainly hear you.
That's my network. Sometimes network issues. Going back to, I mean, where I love. And so business intelligence, I mean, in a nutshell, pretty much just put in data in an environment where you can pull it whenever you want to pull it. I mean, and make intelligent decisions out of it. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. Organized data, structural data, in a way that you can pull it out whenever you want to pull it out and just make informed decisions, simple as that. But how do you get there? I mean, you have the infrastructure in place to even achieve that. I mean, Lamin mentioned, yes. I mean, business need. I mean, obviously, when you have this data together, people come to you. They say, "I want report. I want KPI. I want dashboard." Well, yeah, questions come. You have to go back and forth questions about, okay, well, what do you need? How you need it? Like, what do you need? So if some of these business people don't have a clue as to what they want, you say, "I want something. I want it this way." But as a BI person, you can pretty much help them guide them through as to what they need, because that's what I do every day. That's what I do every day. My job is pretty much just, that's what I do. I mean, BI actually, it touches a lot of aspects. So having data here, when I did in the past, let's see, I mean, in the SQL Server database, you can just say on-prem or on cloud. I mean, that's pretty much how data can be pulled. So Malik can probably address this point better than anyone else. He's a cloud guy. I mean, they host data in cloud or in prem. So that means whenever data is needed or report needs to be run, or you need to just log into SQL Server, write some quiz, pull data, you can have access to. That's what it's about. But obviously, business intelligence pretty much just, in a nutshell, again, just have organized data in a structured format that you can make decisions. I mean, business decisions. Where am I investing my money? You know, where are we lacking? Where's the company performing? You know, where have we, you know, all that. So I mean, it's a big arena. I mean, BI is really huge. I mean, I don't think in the West, almost every company, I mean, in BI, they have BI team, they have IT department that does data. I think only probably in Africa, we don't have, it's not that big deal. And obviously, I mean, it's labor intensive if you don't have BI in place. Labor intensive. You have papers on racks. You know, whenever you need something, you have to go and grab it. You know, it's just, and you can even imagine the errors. I mean, when people type stuff, you know, rather than, I mean, when people write stuff, rather than typing it, put it in a database, you know, pretty much, I mean, get the data formatted in a way that there are no errors. You know, this thing is a big deal. BI just, I mean, help, I mean, pretty much streamline the process of error making, you know, pulling data whenever you want it, you know, making informed decisions. That's about it. Pretty much, that's in a nutshell. That's what BI is about. I mean, obviously, I mean, once you have BI infrastructure in place, what people want to use it. I mean, how do they use it? I mean, business people want data, they want report, they want dashboard. I mean, how do they get it? But well, they come to you. I mean, if you're a BA part, a business analyst, they ask you questions and you can guide them through. I mean, you go to the database, write queries, pull data, show it to them. I mean, this is what it will look like once we put it together. And hopefully that fits their needs. If not, you go back. You go back to the drawing board, you know, just go back and write requirement documents. Use case, Lamin said, you know, use cases. I mean, obviously, when business users come to you, you write use cases according to what they want, and from there, just run with it. So you have the developers. Once you write these use cases, You have the data pretty much just queried, knowing that this is what they need. You have your developers. They pretty much just go and just do it, put the engine together.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. We have a question from Pierre. Pierre is asking, what are some of the trends that you're seeing in big data analytics?
So, Mr. Jobarteh, you want to take that?
No, go ahead.
All right, so now, Per, thanks for this question. Before I get to some of the trends on the big data analytics, I'll go back to the drawing board. How do we get to the big data in the first place? And then that will kind of help us to answer some of the questions that you're asking right now. From my experience, there are a lot of big data environments or infrastructures out there. The most, I guess the commonly known ones out there, you got your Google Cloud, you got your AWS, you got your Microsoft Azure environment. From my background, I'm only familiar with two environments, AWS as well as the Azure cloud environment. Those are the two. My last company that I was with, I use AWS, and my current company, I use Azure, Microsoft Azure to get there. How do we get there? First, you have to understand your current ecosystem, technology ecosystem. And you also need to understand what are the business needs at the moment. What are the criticality of the data that you're going to use that's going to be fit for purpose, that is going to be driven by the decisions that the senior leadership or executives are making, or is it just operational aspect of things for business day to day? It could be your internal consumers, which are your business domains, the different business domains that you have, accounting, finance, tax, budgeting, and so on and so forth, marketing, sales, or is it an external entities that you're going to be dealing with, some vendors out there? From that angle, then you sit and say, okay, what are the strategy roadmap based off of my current ecosystem, data ecosystem that I have? I have an on-prem system at the moment, which is probably, you say, maybe SQL Server or Oracle, which doesn't have that much data in there yet, and data is not managed well, it's not conformed well, it's not in a standardized way of how to manage it, as Lamin said earlier on. You have a lot of manual and redundant process. You have a lot of data silos out there by the businesses that are maintaining some paper. As Lamin said earlier on, they're writing a bunch of stuff. You have paper stats out there in the drawer, or somebody has just their own database that they just install on their desktop, maybe Access database or Excel that they are doing report off of. So you have a lot of data disparity and a lot of inconsistency of data. You don't have a holistic view of what's actually happening within your environment. Business leaders cannot be able to make informed decisions because they don't know exactly how this metric is calculated by this department. For instance, my Omar can say, I'm calculating this metric one way, and I'm saying I'm calculating this metric one way. Which one is the correct one? So without having a centralized location, a consistent location where you bring in all of your data in one environment, then you can have a holistic view from a data lineage point of view. You know exactly where the data is coming from. You know where the data is stored and how it's calculated in between. There's no ambiguity out there. That's one layer you take out of it. Now, going back to big data, how do I get to the big data? Is this a candidate right now? What's the volume of that data? Is that big enough for me to transition from my current on-prem, because I can no longer be able to support the business now because the data is so much, and the veracity and the velocity of how that data is coming through, I can't manage it. So my only option right now is to transition from the on-prem and migrate to cloud environment. And then when I go to cloud environment, also I need to look at and assess, okay, what environment is conducive to what I'm trying to do? I mean, do I just go to a public cloud, or do I go to a private cloud, or do I go to a hybrid model? What are the things that I need to look for? And those are some of the things that you have to look for. And in the end, what's going to come down the line is now you have the infrastructure. First of all, the most important thing is having the foundation of the big data in place. Whichever framework that you use, whichever company that you go with, make sure you understand what those business use cases are. Make sure you have the foundation in place. Then that way you can be able to expand and streamline and add to that. Again, what I mean by that is that if you are going to make a plan and you are going to make based off of your data strategy journey or plan, don't think about only your current need right now. Plan it out 3-5 years down the line. How much am I going to grow? How much am I going to expand? Yes, I know I have these business areas right now. Are we adding more business? Are we adding more vendors? Are we adding more things? Because data is going to grow. I mean, because of, I mean, you have data everywhere right now, from stream analytics, from third-party data sources that you can get to enrich your own internal data that you have already installed in the house. So one of the advantages of that is going to big data online is now you have an open source tools that you can easily integrate within your current big data infrastructure. You have third-party data sources that you can enrich your current data. There are a lot of benefits over there. So when you stay on-prem, it's very manual, it's very, it might not open the doors for an expansion, but going to big data is going to help you with that. So with that said, is that now, how do you get your data from one place to where it needs to be centrally managed in an environment? Now, not only business has access to that data, and you have high availability of that data, and you have a lot of redundancies built in within that data, because now your business users or external vendors can actually get to the data anytime that they need it. The downtime is very minimal because you have it managed in a centralized location, which there's a lot of redundancies built in. So if one server or one, let's say an area where you have your business, a region fail, there's a failover. There are multiple regions. I mean, again, I'll give an example. In the US, if you look at Microsoft has different locations or regions. They have the East, they have the West region. In the East, they have multiple redundancies out there built in. If one of your clusters goes down or something goes down, that's a backup already. So you as the business user, you as the customer, you don't even see that. So there is always high availability and redundancy built in, and that's a benefit. And the other benefit is that your storage is very cheap right now. Storage is cheap. You can put as much data as possible. You will never fill it up. Where they're gonna catch you is the compute. So how are you gonna churn that data, and how are you gonna move that data out of that storage in the cloud to other environments? That's where they're gonna charge you. So if they charge you 1 cent for storage, they're gonna charge you, I mean, $1 for compute. So strategically, you have to decide, I mean, where that comes in. So if I go back to my foundation and try to answer Pierre's questions about analytics, a portion of things is that now you have your data that is centrally managed and it's high available, it's high secured, it's available to your business users. How do you now segment that environment, one for reporting or business intelligence portion of things, and one for analytic workspace now, where you classify your data in a way who can see what and what they can access for the need that they need, and they go at it. So once you segment that, you say, okay, I'm going to create an analytic workspace. Here is all the data that you need to see there, and I'm not going to put any constraint of what you can see in there. However, based on compliance reasons or security, if there's a PII, I'm going to mask it. You won't see that. If you have a need to see my name and my address and everything, you have to justify. I will create a compartment where it's secure and only Pierre and his area can be able to see it. And how would I do that? role-based. I'm not going to give access to pairs by pairs name. I'm going to make it as a role-based access where, all right, someone in pairs area, only those people can see it for only their business purpose. And at least you know that now your data is secured, it's managed well, it's processed well, it's centrally located, you have full visibility, and then they can use it for analytic purposes. So that's one of the main advantages of going to cloud than staying on-prem, because cloud you can expand and enhance easily than if you stay on-prem, because there's a lot of work that has to be done.
Thank you very much. Brother Jobarteh, want to add something? Or?
Actually, I mean, Tom, he did an excellent job. I mean, I don't know, there's anything I can add to that. I mean, yeah, I mean, of the training big data. Well, I think Google are later back. Google, I mean, obviously Google is one that invent this big data stuff. Big data to me is easily queried. I mean, it's not actually structured as relational database. Obviously, trends, we have a lot of players in the field. SAP, Cognos, which is IBM. Obviously, we have Microsoft. Obviously, which to me, I think they lead the pack when it comes to relational database. When it comes to organized database, I mean, data that's more organized. I mean, obviously, we have Oracle as well. Oracle, I mean, a lot of companies adopt Oracle. I mean, I have SAP background, Cognos, which is IBM, but I'm a Microsoft guy. I mean, I've worked on all these platforms. I mean, I spend most of my time on Microsoft. I mean, and again, like I said, I did SAP, which is Web Intelligence Report, by SAP, and Cognos, which is IBM. But obviously, I'm more Microsoft part. Obviously, most companies here use Microsoft. I mean, the platform is so stable, and they do a good job. I mean, when it comes to this database, I mean, where data structure in a way that is structured format. You can pull data whenever you want to. I mean, obviously, Lamin mentioned, I mean, a lot of great stuff. I mean, this requires a lot. Having business intelligence platform, business intelligence in place requires a lot, though. It's not just, okay, let me put data in here and just pull it out. There are infrastructure that need to be in place to even have this, this thing, I mean, successful. Microsoft, obviously, they do a good job. Malik, he's a Microsoft guy. He's all his stuff are Microsoft stuff, so he can speak more to this than anyone else. But yeah, big data, I mean, I think Google, I mean, leads the pack. I mean, when it comes to big data, and again, I think there's some misunderstanding has big data, I mean, business intelligence. Big data is more unstructured. You can write simple queries, I get it, rather than actual Microsoft or Oracle database. Those, I mean, you have to know, I mean, how to write those queries. I mean, the queries for Microsoft relational database, transactional database, or relational database, so to speak, you have to know how to. You have to pretty much just know how to write those queries, to be able to even do, to be able to pull data and organize in a way that people can see it, people can use it. And developers, obviously, I mean, front end folks that people put in it. I'm not a developer. I'm an analyst guy. I mean, I know how to report that yet. I don't call myself a developer. They can speak more to that, but security, the main mention about security, which is very important. You cannot leave data. You cannot just leave data there for anyone to have access to. Obviously, you have to have security in place whereby some people have access to areas that they supposed to or that they should, rather than just have data or have reports or dashboard anywhere people can access. Obviously, cloud allows that. Just like Lamin said, have a simple database on your desktop. That's not that you don't call that a BI. That's just your own simple, database that you put data in, pull data whenever you want to. But it's a big deal though. This big data BI stuff is big because I'm around. I've been around for so long. I mean, it's a big deal. Yes.
We have another question. Thank you, both of you, for answering Pierre's question. Yeah, in detail. I think he probably has a lot of things to think about now in terms of the trends he was looking for. Iliman Jallo also has questions. Says very insightful stuff. To add to Pierre's question about trends, most of the discussions have been around business intelligence. but what are the trends in using big data to fight fraud and financial crime?
I think that's for Lamin. Lamin's in finance, right? The finance guy.
Yes, yes, I've been in the financial industry for the most part of my life. Fraud is a huge thing. My first career, I mean, when I started with my IT journey was with Citigroup. I was in the fraud department as a fraud analyst when I was actually just trying to graduate from my bachelor's with DeVry Institute of Technology, which it used to be now DeVry University. So with that, I was a fraud analyst. We look at fraud trends from credit card point of view. So trying to now answer the question on that. There are a lot of financial regulations out there, especially in the US, that financial institutions have to comply by. And because of that, you have the anti-money laundering act, you have a bunch of other regulations out there, which doesn't come to mind right now. But in order to be able to understand those fraud trends, everything starts with the data. Everything starts with the data. If you don't have a visibility to the data, it's going to be hard to understand who your customer base is, how and the money is getting moved, not only between inside the banking system, but also the institutionally outside the banking system. So there are regulations that we have to go by, and we have to be compliant with all of those regulations, that whether it is within the US or it's outside of the US, like let's say GDPR in European countries and so forth. In Africa, I don't know what kind of compliance that they have or regulations that they go by, but here you have your CCPA, California, the act over here, and also GDPR as well. So trying to answer your question is that all of those start with data governance. Governance is a key factor in understanding how your data is managed, how your asset is managed. When I say asset, I'm talking about your data asset from on its entirety. You have to understand the life cycle of that. And what I mean by the data management life cycle in this case is that everything starts from the element level. Again, element is the data on its nucleus level. Element in terms of what is this field? I'll give an example. In the US, you have a social security number. Social security number is a 9-digit government issue identification for people in the US. If that ID falls to about somebody that doesn't need to have it or see it, that your whole life, can turn upside down. How do you manage all of those PII from the data governance point of view? You need to understand that you need to classify all of those data elements, assets. Again, that takes me back to who can see it, what can they see, what purpose are they going to use that, and where is the data being exchanged from? So if I can have access to the data, it's for my eyes only. I'm going to use it for only that purpose. At the end of the day, do I need to remove your access? Oh no. That's one part of it. Now, not to kind of prolong and go around deep or trying to answer from the compliance point of view, from what the person was asking about is making sure that you have visibility across your data and you have classification of that data that is securely managed. It's by what is the confidentiality of the information that you have, how integral or integrity of the data is, and how accessible is that data is, or available is that data is. And if you are able to manage that, that takes the fraud, I mean, to mitigate that fraud, it's going to lessen that. There are issues out there that it's going to be hard to kind of mitigate some fraud, because you are going to have external intruders or hackers trying to, from outside, trying to get access to your data. You'll worry about that one. That's going to be part of your security program, protocol that you're going to put in place. And it's going to be part of your data governance program to put those mitigation things in place. But what you need to be concentrating or be mindful as well is the internal users of that data. The internal users is the company employees, the asset that has access to that. Try to put a line of defense out there for us. Try to sensitize your employees, making sure that you will get emails outside phishing, and as well as a lot of other things that's going to come down. Educate them, sensitize them. It's a continuous development program that you have to put in place. Continuous education of your users. I mean, meaning your user base is going to help or mitigate some of the poor things that's going to happen, because they will be mindful if somebody requests to get access to certain data that they didn't need to have, they can ask those questions. Why do you need that data? Who needs it and for what purpose? So all of those are policies that you have to put in place, and those policies is going to affect the processes that you put in place. But again, managing data is not an easy thing. Trying to not have any fraud or something like that is hard, but how do you minimize it? How do you make sure that you have processes and policies in place to help you pretty much manage that component? From the regulatory, make sure you abide by to the regulatory compliance that you have in place. Because when the auditors comes in, they want to understand what is happening in your environment. You have to prove it out. I mean, these are the policies. This is the anti-money laundering policies that we have, making sure that if I open an account, I know who my customers are. I know where they live. I have their information in terms of who they banked with before, where do they live physically, whether they have a physical location here in the US or outside of the US in another case. And all of those things you have to make sure that you know your customer. Just knowing your customer is very important aspect of that. And then have the process and policies in place to make sure that you mitigate that. And I think that's the starting point, in my opinion.
Thank you. Mr. Jobs, you want to add to that?
Yeah, just a bit. Thanks, Tom. Yes, great point. What I just add to that, obviously, you have to start with security. I mean, obviously, you have data. So you have to have security. You need to have a security way that not everyone can have access to. And so you have your security team. I mean, obviously, our reports or dashboard or SQL Server in that case are hosted on a platform that's secured. First of all, you have to have access to that platform. That's security based, a role-based security, either by who you report to or your department. So the SQL Server that I'm working every day, not everyone have access to it, not at all. I mean, not everyone, very few people can actually get this. I mean, even our finance team can even have access to our database. I mean, they can get the end product of the data, but they can actually just go log into the database, and that's also security because they don't have to get the database. And there are also it also like whatever part of data they see is also important. They cannot just see every data, all the data, whatever. I mean, company finances, whatever, hiring, HR data, or purchasing data. So all those are pretty much set in a way that departments have access to their data, and only that department. And obviously, when it comes to the report, the dashboard, the applications that you put together and nice in the solver, who has access to them? All those, I mean, all those are pretty much, you can have security. I mean, how you call it? What's the word for this again? You have a security team. I can't remember. But anyway, you have groups, security groups, whereby you put people in, and based on that, you give access to a certain part of the reports. I give access to, the report. People reach out to me, I need to see certain report. I'm like, well, I cannot give you access to this report. You have to go to TSC, to get access. And even then, you have to pretty much just go through the process. Fill out, submit a request case, and you go through your department head to see if you can see the data. So yeah, security data is really big though. You can't just put data out there think that everyone just have access to it. No, it's not at all. Yeah, security is a big deal. Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Yep.
Thank you. We have some different question from Chinaman. He says, I'm having a lot of interest in tech. Now, what's your advice for me to start with a tech business? Okay, so he's interested in tech and he wants to know what advice you can give him to get into starting a tech business. That question is open to the floor. Anyone on the panel or in the participants that wants to add? Let's hear it.
I think Malik can let him talk. Let Malik chime in that one.
Malik, you want to give it a shot?
Now, Lamin, you can also go ahead.
What was the question?
The question is, the question is, Chinaman says he has a lot of interest in tech, and he wants to know, to get advice on how to start a tech business. So, what would be your advice for someone that wants to start a tech business? You can introduce yourself as well. Your name has been mentioned a few times, right? So.
Okay. Yeah, Saren, thank you. So my name is Malik Khan. I'm the founder of PointClick, which is a cloud services provider based in the US. So for Chinaman, I think, you just start, working on your curiosity in tech, figure out, because tech is broad. There's so many different things, whether you want to do software development, you want to do networking, you want to do security, you want to do like Lamin and Ole do, databases. So you kind of have to find where your interests are. And you just do that by, I don't know, purchasing gadgets, playing around with stuff, or reading about certain areas of technology. But you have to kind of build that interest first on what is it that kind of sparks your interest. And then you build a knowledge base around that. That way, you can, you have to have some sort of experience to do that. Unless if you're a rich billionaire, whatever, you have a lot of money to start a company and hire people to do it for you, that's great. But if you're looking to be the main driver, be the founder, you have to kind of build the skill sets first and the interest in the area you want to tackle. So that is my take.
Thank you very much, Malik. Anybody else want to chime in?
Yeah, just to piggyback on what Malik just said, Chinaman, you have to know, again, tech is very broad. You need to know exactly which area of the tech that you need to embark on, from data management to BI to security to other areas. But yeah, know where you need to go, do some research, find your niche, and then go at it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So going back to what the partner said. I just established that his interest. What interests him? What does he love to do? What does he like to do? You cannot just say, I want to make money. I want to get in tech. You might come out. Do I love gadgets? Do I love to play with computers? Or do I love to fix stuff? When people say tech, they mean like tech. They don't like. They think tech, okay, but build computers. You know what I mean? Some people like, let me use IT, you build computer. I'm like, no, I don't build computer. No, I don't build computer at all. I don't even know how to build a computer. I can fix a computer, but that's not my area. It's not my expertise. Yeah, whatever interests him, whatever he likes to do, you know what I mean? Yeah, I think he starts from there. And if he say, I want to build a business on tech, with tech, well, that's different. People can do shit for him, right? But if he says, I want to get into tech, like he want to do it himself, he has to find out what he likes about tech, what section of tech does he like, what's his interest.
Yeah, and I want to just add, because I know what business he does. So I would say, Chinaman, looking at what you currently do, so he has a barber and grooming salon, which is very good. He's one of the first people that started this grooming for men. So with hot towel treatments and other kinds of beauty treatment for males and their beards and heads and things. So I think when you look at, if for Chinaman, when you look at your business, there are two ways you can address this question of, I want to get in a tech business. First is there a way to integrate tech in your current business? And if there is a way to integrate tech, as Lamin Jobarteh was saying, you can have other people integrate that tech into your business. For example, you could create an application for your services or for your business. That could be a good starting point to have some kind of tech element into your business. But if there are other areas of tech that you're interested in, of course, as Malik, as Lamin, Jabbi said, and even Lamin Jobarteh, as everyone has been saying, you have to research what your interests are and what is feasible as well for you to do. Because, of course, if you're running a business, all of a sudden you found a new love for tech and you neglect your current business, you might not like the outcome. So I think you have to find a good balance and see, number one, how you can integrate that into your current business, or if it's something you want to explore, if there are other people that can help you integrate or explore it better, or through time, you take your time and just find your passion. What is it in tech that you really want to do? Why do you really want to start a tech business? And then from there, you have access to everyone that's in this panel today. You can reach out to any one of us, and I'm sure if we can be of service, we will guide you better to make some decisions, some very business intelligent decisions based on the data that you have. I'm just going to go ahead and read some comments in the chat, just so we can answer some of those things. We have Malik saying to Lamin Jabbi, he says, "Preach, brother, preach. I need you on my sales team selling cloud." And he further said, anyone from the Gambian government was on this call, they would say Malik paid this guy to pump cloud.
Not at all. Not at all.
Then we have
I have no skin in
the yeah. Then we got Luis saying, "Great discussion, guys. This is really insightful. However, as it relates to the Gambia, how can these concepts be incorporated and made available to businesses, and how much of it is dependent on infrastructure? And more importantly, how do we keep it secure?" Sorry, I know it's a bit of a loaded question. So that's Luis. Maybe we can address that, and then we'll go down again to the chat and see what else. Because after Luis, we have two more comments. Or maybe I'll just read the two comments and then we'll address everything in one go, because it's already 1 past the hour, and I need to see if anyone is busy, because normally at the hour mark, if any of the panelists has somewhere else to be, we allow you to close, and then we thank you for your time, because we don't want to waste anyone's time. However, if you do have an extra 30 minutes, we can shut at 30 minutes past the hour. So if you have that time to spare, we will close out the talk at 30 minutes past the hour. And the reason I'm saying past the hour is because everybody's from different hours, time zones. So If it's okay with both the panelists, we'll just continue for an extra 28 minutes. That's fine? Okay, brilliant. And anyone that wants to, that has to go, feel free to leave comments on the chat box and we'll address them. And then you can watch the recording later on YouTube. So not to worry. So we have Luis' question. Then Mohtar said, every business in the world is a tech business, even a candy shop. And then Pierre said, great points. Also understand whether you want to be in the products or services business or both. And are you trying to solve a problem because there's a gap in the market, or because you can build a better mousetrap, or if you want to provide niche services? I think Pierre was giving advice to Chinaman. So Chinaman, read Pierre's comment in the chat. Thanks, Pierre, for sharing your insights. I think we'll go ahead and answer Luis's question in the chat. If everyone has access, if you want me to read it again, I can. However, if you okay with addressing it, we'll go ahead and address it. And I see Modu's hand is up. So after Luis's question, we'll circle back and answer. Give Modunjai the floor so we can see what question he has and address it. Does that sound like a plan? All righty. Okay, so who wants to take a poke at Luis's question? So how do we, translate this important topic, which is, big data business intelligence? How do we translate it to, or relate it, conceptualize it to the Gambian context?
All right. Yeah. Let me say one thing about just that part right there. I think Malik can answer that question because Malik goes to Gambia, deal with these people right there. So he probably can. He probably has more knowledge in dealing with those folks back there than any one of us. And again, hopefully I'm not speaking for Lamin as well. But I think Malik can probably answer this because he deals with them back there. I mean, he was government folks, so I think Malik can probably answer the question better than any one of us.
Yeah, Malik can go ahead. I'll just give my 2 cents from
sure.
From an infrastructure and I'll chime, and then Malik can go from there.
Sure thing.
If I'm reading the question correctly, how can we apply these concepts and incorporate into the business, and how much dependent on infrastructure and so on. Luis, thank you so much for this. I will take it from my own experience in here and my prior experience and current and what's going on. Infrastructure and the foundation is very, very, very important. Without having the foundation, you won't be able to realize those things. I'm not in the Gambia right now. Malik can chime to that, but what I would say is that first and foremost, look at your needs right now. What are some of the pain points? Look at the critical to return on your investment in here in this case. What I meant by that is that in order to be able to have the infrastructure and the foundation, which I'm going to go on the cloud side on things over here. If you're on-prem, what you have internally, because one, you have to look at the skill sets. The skill sets there for you to realize if you want to have your data stored or infrastructure within the on-prem where you manage it. Or do you want to go on cloud and have someone else manage the platform for you? The content, you own that. The platform, somebody can manage that. Or do you want to go all out and say, okay, I'm going to have vendors or consultants that's going to manage both the cloud foundation infrastructure as well as the content within there. All I need is just the output of that. All of those things is feasible. You can do that. But the number one thing is that the infrastructure has to be in place. Without the infrastructure in place, you cannot be able to realize the outcome of all of those things. If I may just say again, going back, having let's say an Azure as an example, Microsoft Azure foundation, you have to have the Microsoft Azure tenant foundation in there built in already. Having the foundation now, can you add more resources to that based off of your need? Again, based off of your need is you have a cloud environment where now you can open up to an open source. That's going to help the skill sets, the different skill sets out there for your analytics team, as an example. If, for instance, my Lamin knows one part, SAP, to program certain thing, and I know Spark, or I know Python or something else that I can build the program, my platform is agnostic. I mean, I'm not building it for one person or for one purpose. You have an integration of multiple resources and programs through open source or through even native that's already within Azure. So all you do is add more resources to it based on what you need. If you need for your business intelligence can connect it with different business intelligence tools that you use, or analytics can be able to connect to your data based on the analytic tools that they want to use, your data scientists and so on and so forth. So everyone can come in. So you are not kind of leaving it or into one area and making it so, in other words, siloed that it's going to be hard to expand. But infrastructure is very important to have that in place because that's the foundation for you to get successful. So again, if Gambian government or any business wants to do this thing, we have to invest on the infrastructure. And that infrastructure, please, you need to empower the people on the ground that has the infrastructure in place, give them the incentives, give them the breaks that they need to be able to expand on that infrastructure, and then they can be able to cater to the people or the businesses to be able to do, in other words, to build the progress and realize getting the benefit out of that. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you very much. And Malik, you want to chime in, or does anyone else want to chime in?
If let's see if Malik want to say something. I'm looking at the question and I can say something quick.
Okay, you can say it because he's probably maybe not on the computer. It might have broken off or something.
Because I mean, look at the question. Says, however, has led to Gambia, how can this concept be incorporated? I mean, well, this concept can be, of course. I mean, you just have to have the right people. I mean, it's not science. It's not magic to have this. I mean, Gambia, yeah, of course. I know there are a lot of intelligent folks in Gambia that can do these things. And again, you don't have to have the folks like Lamin, myself, to be in Gambia. You know what I mean? We can build this thing for you, and you just have to access this through cloud. That's how simple it is. So we don't have to be in Gambia for you to have the solution. I mean, be given to you. You cannot. I mean, now technology has made things so easy. It doesn't matter where you're, Timbuktu, wherever, I mean, you can access your data. So, I mean, as long as we know what you want, I mean, you give us the data or whatever. We can put this in a place that, do all the massaging for you, and you can access it with a click of a button. You know what I mean? So you don't have to myself, I mean, or any other developer or whatever. They don't have to be to say, okay, I'm going to sell this to Gambians. No, he can get access to this here. I mean, people like Indians. People we have people that work in India. Services. That we pretty much purchase from these Indians. I mean, they don't even know anything about this country, but they're capable. They're people that are capable of doing these things. They do this over there. Do everything, and we just access data, from the cloud. But yeah, I mean, great question. But yeah, you don't have to have developers in Gambia to do this. They can be here, India, wherever, and they just have to sell service to you. Yep.
Thank you. I think Malik stepped out, so let's go ahead and give Modunjai the floor so he can ask his question, and then I have a question.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Modunjai, and I currently work at the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I would say I'm a tech enthusiast. I love tech, and I've been following it for quite a long time. Although I do not have any prior training in terms of coding or in terms of building any technological softwares, but I do follow the space. And so my question is basically, throughout when I started working at the chamber, I've noticed that there are a lot of data that is collected, but it's either not digitized, it's like usually printed out, and they just store a lot of paper and paper and paper. But there's so much data in there that if it was collected or digitized through business intelligence, through capturing that data, there will be a way you can analyze it so it can inform you in terms of making business decisions. So is there like a affordable tool or a free tool that you can probably like incorporate all this data to be able to make better analysis? I'll give another example. At the level of the chamber, we have a lot of like Google Forms where we collect information. We have a lot of surveys. However, it's collected on different times and it's not all combined to basically be analyzed in a proper way. Is there any tools that can like that can streamline this process of like gathering a lot of data from different institutions, bringing it on one platform and making better decisions, basically using business analytics or business intelligence? Thank you. And my second question would be, if somebody was interested in learning BI, somebody, let's say a starter, what will be the best course of actions to start to be a professional in business intelligence? Thank you.
Lamin, you want to take that first?
Yeah. Let me give it a shot. Model, right? Thanks, brother. Actually, yes. As far as when it comes to tools, free that you can use for free, yes, a lot of tools. And obviously, the easiest way to go about this, Microsoft Excel. I know we all use Excel. Everyone uses Excel. You can load data in Excel. It's free. Load data in Excel. And there's something called Microsoft SQL Server Express. It's free. Right? And you can go online, you can learn these things very easy. I mean, trust me, you'll be surprised how much knowledge you have. I mean, by just, I mean, reading some of this stuff. So simple Excel, simple Excel. I mean, input data in Excel in a formatted way. And Excel can tie into SQL Server Express. It's free. You can download it into your desktop. Simple, it's free. But obviously, you just have to read a little bit about it, how to download that just software, and then install it on your desktop. You don't need like cloud server or whatever, none of that. It's your desktop. So get an Excel, just write stuff on Excel. Create a table on Excel, columns, name, last name, date of birth. Simple, just start with that. Name, first name, last name, date of birth, simple as that. And then download Microsoft SQL Server Express. It's free from Microsoft. I use it so many times for my own stuff. And then you can import the Excel into Microsoft SQL Server. Simple. Because you can actually, that's a long array. And the reason why I said it because it's simpler. But if not, you can actually download Microsoft SQL Server Express and then build tables within the server. But there could be learning curve there. Either one of these will do it. All right, but it's Excel. I know. I mean, more. You sound really smart. I mean, you can do any one of this. But that'll be the easiest to do it. I mean, Excel based. I mean, imported. And if you go online, there are a lot of free lessons that you can read. You'll be surprised. I taught a lot of these things myself. I didn't learn most of this in college. I did not. To be able to have open mind, to be able to people understand and be able to analyze stuff. So when I come to my religion, and it's not on my own. I think no one teach me these things. I go online and do stuff. But I'm more used to a really smart guy. I know everyone who's smart is really smart. Yeah, but simple platform. You could. I think you can have my info. We can talk. I'm offline anytime. I'm on LinkedIn. I mean, obviously, my phone number, so I can give it to you on WhatsApp. I don't have any problem at all. And I'll let Lamin take the second part of it.
Yeah, thanks much. So, Modu, thank you so much for that question. Just adding what Mr. Jobarteh said. if you are dealing with a limited set of data that is not big enough, you can just use any free database version, SQL Express, and then just pull those information in. So there might be some learning curve if you don't have a database background, because you have to create tables, you have to create an ETL to bring in the data in, and store procedures and some other things. And then you have to report outside of that. But at least managing your data centrally is going to help, because you have so much data coming down from different. So with the files, the printed files that you have, and then storing them on your desktop, you can import all of those information in, and then that way you have multiple data points and different domains that you can be able to bring together to make an kind of an informed decision. But if your data is not huge, start simple. If you are dealing with so much data or a lot of data dispersed, there's a disparity of data across a lot of other environments, then your best bet would be to look at either a cloud solution or even an on-prem solution that is a little bit bigger, to be able to do more analytics out of that. But if you think, again, what cloud, I'm going to cloud again, it's easier. So if you don't have the skill set, because if you're going to do it yourself, you require skill set. If somebody's going to do it within your team on the ground, you require the expertise and skill sets to do it. If you don't have that, then there are platform as a service, again, software as a service, all in the cloud environment that you can be able to tap into, and is going to help you not only get your data centralized, but also put your BI tools on top of that to be able to create your dashboards, create your other metrics. Also, if you need analytics, you can be able to easily get a visibility to that data. So that's going to be my 2 cents on that.
Sorry, can I go back to Luis? Luis and Modu, I think their questions could be tied. So just like Lamin was going over this. Yeah, big. If you have so much data, obviously that's talking about different stuff, different way. But I think the first thing, probably going back to Luis. So probably what we can start doing. Every business, whatever. Let everyone start putting stuff in Excel. Simple. Excel is a very powerful tool. Excel. So probably every business should that have Excel. Available that we can enter your data. That's starting point. Trust me, you'll be surprised how much headache you can alleviate by having your business on an Excel. So when you do that, I'm putting the data into SQL Server. It's much easier, but you have to have an organized data in an Excel. SQL Server will do the rest. Relational database it will do a lot of work done in SQL Server. But at the starting point will be Excel, because Lamin said yes, there will be some learning curve if you just want to go to SQL Server, learn this stuff. But Excel, let every business adapt Excel. Have Excel and let's avoid having papers. Everything should be Excel. And trust me, it is so simple to move from Excel by just going to stuff and put all your data in SQL Server. So, Luis, yes, trust me. Let everyone start doing this. Excel. If you have a business guy in your business, start input everything in Excel. Model, same thing. Everything in Excel. I'm 100% available to talk to anyone about this.
Thank you. We have 2 hands raised, but before then, Pierre said, with the rise of AI ops, predictive analytics, etc., can you share some use cases where you've used certain tools or procedures to improve operations, and what were the outcomes?
I'll take a stab at that. AI or machine learning, per se, artificial intelligence and machine learning aspect of things. So in my past and even current environment, I have a data science team. I manage data science team consisting of data engineers and data scientists out there. So it all starts with, it all starts with big data. That would give you more what you need to kind of capture. In other words, small data AI, and machine learning with a limited data set, what can you gain out of that? What insight can you gain out of that? It's going to be very small or none per se. But with the big data, you have so much data out there. Having your data centrally managed again, because I'm going to that because that is very important. Because when you have all of your data, different sources, different domains, centrally managed in one location, now you have 360 degree of your customer view. You understand exactly from transaction to financial level, data is all there, and customer demographics and all of those things and how they interact in and out. Where AI and machine learning is going to come into play is that now you have your raw data out there, whether it is structured or unstructured. They can apply the different techniques out of there. In other words, if you go with Azure, again, as an example, per se, there is an Azure AI tool out there, Azure machine learning or Azure AI tool that you can apply to your data sets and be able to predict, do some regression stuff as well to look at the inside of how your data pattern is. But that exploration can only be applied to the big data aspect of things that you have, so you can be able to see how the trends are from different business areas or from your consumer. So depending on what use case do you want to have, within that, again, it all goes back to that use case. And then you apply that AI to look at those patterns of how your data is behaving, then you can be able to provide that feedback to the different customer base or business areas that you need. Some of the tools, again, that you can use, open source tools are out there. You have frameworks out there, you have libraries out there which are free. All you need to do is tap into that open source and bring that library. You don't have to write that library. Those libraries are already in a collaborative environment. It's built, it's public, and you just look at it and then apply it to your model, and then look at your model and see, okay, is this the expectation that I'm looking at? Is my model biased, or if it's not biased? But again, it all depends on the data that you have. If you don't have trust in your data, and if you don't have your data centrally managed, it's going to be hard to apply those. The outcome of the model that you build could be biased because it could be positive or negative depending on how you look at it. So I would say tool is agnostic. Apply any open source AI or machine learning tool that you have, or go with a tool that is vetted out, that you know is secure, that you know that you are paying for it, and you know you have the support for it, and then just apply that to your data. But that's the response I would have to that.
Thank you. We have Iliman Jallo with a question, then Luis Rants again, and then we have one comment in the, I think Pierre was commenting to Modunjai. He said, another suggestion before determining which tool you're going to use, think about your end-to-end strategy, data governance, security, etc. Remember, technology is an enabler, the process and the people are the key. So thank you, Pierre. And Modu, you can go back to the chat and read for more input. Hopefully your questions are being answered. I'll open the floor to Iliman. He has a question, and then we'll go to Luis. And then since we're getting close to time, after Luis's question, then we'll probably go ahead and open the floor for closing remarks, if that's all right. Okay.
Hi guys. Yeah, so my question was, well, not a question, was just mainly geared towards Modunjai's question and advice. I think, like Lamin said, the first thing is putting your data in Excel. And like you said, you already have the data being collected using Google Forms, I think you should be able to easily link it to Google Sheets, which you can later on convert to Excel, Microsoft Excel, or just use Google Sheets. I think that's an easy way as a starting point. Yeah. And
Thank you,
also,
Ilma.
and also, yeah, just to add to what Per said, you have to have that governance in place as well, right? From the organization, and you have to have that will, and the whole organization as a whole has to kind of be on board that you have to move, data from being physical to being online.
Indeed,
Yeah,
indeed.
so actually currently all the data we capture it digitally, and we also use Google Excel. We also use Excel, Microsoft Excel, to analyze all that data. What I was referring to is if there is a tool after Excel which incorporates like maybe AI or not machine learning, not like high advanced AI where it's collecting big data, but depending on the data you have in Excel, it can probably give you like graphs, or it can give you insights, or it can give you like a dashboard that you don't have to manually do it on Excel, because that's what we're doing now. And where you can get like different sorts of data, because although from the data we are capturing is digitized, maybe data coming from government is on a paper, or data coming from different businesses or research papers from different institutions. So how do we gather all that data from different institutions, different places, and basically have like now research papers or better informed decisions in meetings or things like that? That's what I was basically talking about. But I learned something about the is it SLQ or is it
SQL?
SQL. Yeah, probably research more on that.
I would also advise to also look at Power BI. It's a very simple to use tool, which you can just import your Excel spreadsheets to Power BI, and you can, dream up different charts that you want.
Yeah, and actually, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. Yeah, Power BI, there's a free version of Power BI. Yeah, that's a great point. Yes, correct. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, just adding to that, if you are Microsoft shop and you're gonna start with Excel, Power BI is Excel in steroids. So the learning curve is not there at all, because the same things that you use within Excel, the formulas that you use, is easily in Power BI. It just reads it because they use the same IDE environment. So Power BI is free, I think for about 10 users or something like that. But you have to look at the model that they have. But I would say Power BI, you could use it as your business intelligence. Excel, if you want to, it has its limitations. I think it cannot store more than 1 million rows in there, where you'll have to, but as long as you have a minimal data sets that you are working with, Power BI has graphs and dashboards and things, and you can be able to easily see your, AI in there, because it will give you a lot of things.
Thank you. Right. So let's go, Luis. Luis, the floor is yours.
Gentlemen, first off, I wanted to really thank you guys for all the insightful information being provided. It's definitely a step forward to moving to getting technology and the concepts of technology into the ears and the people that's actually listening to this, and maybe implement. And part of the reason why I was actually asking that question, as far as integration of these concepts into the businesses that are currently in Gambia, was for the purpose of possibly providing some thought-provoking seed that would excite our peers to be able to start incorporating these things, regardless of what platform you guys use, or regardless of what services you guys use. Everything is pretty much catered to the type of business that you're using. So it's not a one size fit all. There's different concepts out there. There's different software out there that can work for you. I prefer Oracle as opposed to SQL. But again, you can always use SQL data, all the data that he's importing from spreadsheets and everything into SQL, and run Crystal report queries for these that would actually translate into another application to provide the forms and graphs that he's asking for. But as far as the infrastructure that I was mentioning, I know we depend heavily on some other companies to provide infrastructure for us within our country, and just how we can maybe start incorporating or try to excite people into try to do, I don't know, ISP providing farms, data center farms, stuff like that, that we're doing stuff for us, by us, as opposed to have to depend on other people. Because what happens after a while is all these resources now depend outside of our country as opposed to within. So now we're not empowering our people with the infrastructure, because power really is in the infrastructure. Without the infrastructure, like you mentioned, none of this stuff can actually happen. So if we can start building the seed or planting the seed to be able to start catering more towards infrastructure. I mean, our country in relation to other countries around us is not as huge. Therefore, I think there's a lot of ground for us to be able to cover a lot of areas with just the infrastructure. I know coaxial cable, Ethernet, fiber, obviously is a big component of this. But all of it put it together, all the data paths that we need to have in order to be able to provide these data farms, ISP providing farms and all that stuff. All of that's just, part of the pot that we're trying to put everything in together to try to excite some of these youths to be able to, dip their hands into it. Obviously, there's a lot of resources out there on the web. The web is an immense resource for everybody to be able to learn stuff from. But at the same time, we want to be able to try to focus some of this stuff on what we need first, from the ground up, in order to be able to move forward. And again, I definitely thank you guys for all your time. I know it's, everybody's busy and everything, and I'd hate to have such a long-winded question. I think most of it was a bit of a comment, but again, really thank you guys for your insight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Louis.
Thank you very much. Louis, that's quite insightful, and as you've mentioned, and I think right now, one of the things is how do we get, more people interested in tech in Gambia, not just the men, the women, everybody, every capable, intelligent person. How do we get them interested in tech? Because the young generation are the future. For example, the young generation will probably not want to work with paper because they'll see it as tedious. So they'll probably be more likely to want to do things such as entering data and then wanting, just like Modu was just asking, I need to be able to query this data. I want to see graphs. I want to see charts. I want to make very good decisions. Again, all of these, the new, our generation and the one below us, they are all coming up slowly. And, we have an opportunity to join forces, which is why I like the comment Lamin Jobarteh mentioned, contact me, ask me questions, which is good, right? Because sometimes some people want to implement something, but they don't have, they don't maybe know the way to go, or so they just fall back on the old ways. And so we have the same systems in place again, maybe for however many years, because most of us left Gambia, and some of the systems that we left here are still the same systems that are being used. So I appreciate that, and hopefully, with all of us together, joining hands, we could share some of the strategies and some of the ways in which we can facilitate the building of this infrastructure, so that we can move with the times and make more intelligent business decisions. So right now it's it's past the half hour mark by 6 minutes. So hopefully not to make anyone's wives angry, we'll just open the floor to closing, including mine as well. Anyway, she's probably waiting because we're babysitting today. So just to open the floor, we'll go ahead and bring it to a close. Of course, see, just as I said, we got some people checking in. Are you done yet? But as you know, if we want to have a second session to this, if we want to talk further, discuss the topic further, we can make arrangements and set a second date and have BI part 2. because I think it's been, very, very insightful. And there's probably more questions, but since we're out of, time, we can always reschedule another one. So again, thank you all the participants, the panelists. It was really insightful. I enjoyed it. I was ready to go to the next hour, but we'll go ahead and close it out. And as I said, we'll keep in touch. All of us are on LinkedIn, so we can connect. And this video recording will be available within the hour. So be on the lookout. But on that note, I'll let the panelists close. And if anyone wants to say something after the panelists have closed, we'll hear you, and then we'll bid everyone farewell. Thank you very much again. And let's hear it from the panel.
Thank you very much, Omar. And thank you so much, Lamin, Jobarteh, and everyone on this call that are listening and that just chimed in. I'm very appreciative for the opportunity to come in and give my 2 cents on data mystification, big data mystification, as well as the BI space. We have a long way to go, but working as a team, as a group, I think we'll get far. Again, I will say education is the fundamental backbone to getting, if we need to get forward. We need to make sure that our youth are involved. We need to make sure that we educate our children, whether through the normal school system, private, or even vocational training. But education is the foundation and key for the future. Without that, it's going to be hard. The skill set that we need, as Louise and Per and everyone mentioned out there, we need to do it for ourselves. We can't rely for someone else outside of the Gambia to try to help us out. Those skill set, those resources needs to be nurtured internally, and without that, it's going to be hard for us to move forward. So with that said, if anyone wants to reach out for anything, advice or anything from the data space, I'm here to help. I'll be able to give my 2 cents off on that. With that said, thank you so much, Omar. Thank you, Lamin, Mr. Jobarteh, and everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lamin Jabbi. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. Really appreciate this. Thanks, everyone. This is awesome. Hopefully we can have some more of this down the road. I know timing is a key. Thanks, my little man, my little brother, for putting this together. You know what I mean? Of course, I want to go back to Louise. Obviously, Louise mentioned something about this. And I don't know if does Louise and Malik know each other? Because Malik had data center, so probably Louise can reach out to Malik and they can talk. Malik has infrastructure in place that obviously a lot of Gambian people can utilize. But this is awesome. I like this, And again, let me say, I'm available. You can ping me on LinkedIn. I'm always on my phone, on my computer. I'm live all the time. So you can get all. I really appreciate this. This is awesome. Thank you all. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you both. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate you all. Do we have any comment from the participants? Any comments? Okay. I believe everybody's satisfied. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and call it a day. So thank you all again for coming, and be on the lookout. We will post this video on YouTube, so you can go ahead and review the session. And again, if you want to see more from Lamin Jabbi and Lamin Jobarteh, just reach out, and of course, we'll see what their schedules say in terms of bringing in a part 2 for this, because it was truly enjoyable and I still have maybe 1 or 2 questions. So we are coming back. But thank you and goodbye. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. And give my best regards to Ole.
No worries. I will.
Sister. Thank you
Thank
very
so
much. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye. Bye.